I thought he took it light on Biden. It was that damn bad. Now, if you're the Democratic Party, you're going to have some people out there saying it was just one night and it was just one debate. Nah. What if Trump says, I don't need to debate again? And all we have to hold on to is what we witnessed last night. A brain fart within 3 minutes. Mumbling often enough where Donald Trump ended up saying, I don't understand what he said with that last sentence. I don't think he understands what he said.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Where the nation is looking at it, and you have pundits on both sides of the aisle looking sad and despondent. In Van Jones' case for CNN, he looked like he was about to cry. Other pundits were saying, where are the family members? How could you put your dad out there like that? How could you put your husband out there like that? If you're the Democratic Party, how could you put one of your colleagues and your contemporaries out there like that? What the hell is going on? What's going on?
In case you're confused, Stephen A., here's what's really going on. The Dems went all in on a senile old man just so that they could have a puppet that they could control so that they could run their shadow government out of the White House. And now, because of the sham debate that they put together and it backfired, they wanted no audience. They wanted to have microphones cut off, and now they've been exposed, or rather, Dementia Joe has been exposed. And despite having 16 or 18 advisors and practicing in an airplane hangar and bringing in Spielberg-type production, they can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Dementia Joe is a dead man walking, figuratively speaking, and Stephen A. Smith might have put a nail in his coffin. Here's why. Whether you like him or hate him, Stephen A. Smith has a huge audience, and the overwhelming majority of his audience are black people, and everyone knows that Dementia Joe has been losing more and more of the black vote. And now, with Stephen A. Smith sounding yet another alarm, you can bet more and more black voters are going to flee from Dementia Joe. I've told you a few times on his channel in more than one video, but let me reiterate something for you. Unless Dementia Joe carries an overwhelming amount of the black vote, he cannot possibly win. In fact, the black vote has to be nearly unanimous for Dementia Joe to win. Without the plantation-dwelling voters that the Democrats have always counted on, Trump wins in a landslide. For some reason, I feel like I'm the only one telling you this. But what I'm telling you isn't a theory. It's 100% fact. The immutable law of math is undefeated. Despite the idiocy of this guy, I can prove it to you.
I saw and felt zero support among black people for Donald Trump. So I have no idea who is being polled, but I don't believe for one moment that 19% of African-American men are going to vote for Donald Trump.
What an idiot. What you can count on is that when people make statements like that, statements that are completely absurd, you know they're lying. Because if it was true, you wouldn't have to go on television and say it. You see, they're trying their best to stop anyone from incentivizing or even talking about the black flight.
You know, I've been on the record and I've taken a lot of heat saying this. But the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves.
Let me ask you a question. If the Democrats weren't worried about black flight, the black voters fleeing the plantation, why would Stephen A. Smith ever have been attacked? Why would the plantation owners even get upset at him for voicing his opinion? I'll tell you why. For the same reason they get pissed at me. Because they are terrified of black people waking up, truly becoming woke, and leaving the plantation. How dare you stray from the plantation? As a black man, you're supposed to stay in lockstep and vote Democratic your entire life. You see, they fear black men with audience. And let me rephrase that. They fear black men with audiences who don't support the plantation dwelling. Let me prove to you why the Dems are in a panic about the fleeing black vote. Remember, as I've told you many times, Dementia Joe only won the 2020 election by 4 or 5 points. But when Dementia Joe won the 2020 election, he needed 92% of the black vote in order to do so. This chart that you're looking at is from Pew Research, a highly credible source. In 2020, Joe Biden got 92% of the black vote and Donald Trump only got 8%. He got beat by 84 points in the black voting bloc. 84 points. 92% is what Dementia Joe had to get to only win by 4 or 5 points. So if Trump has shaved off 20 points off of that huge lead that Dementia Joe had in the black voting bloc, then a Trump landslide is inevitable. And now Stephen A. Smith is sounding the alarm again. In fact, he wants Joe gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a disaster. It was an utter embarrassment. The fact that those two candidates, one that's been indicted and ultimately convicted, who's been impeached twice, the other who's clearly lost his fastball, he's a bit slower than...
A bit slow? Okay, you're being nice there.
Considerably slower than he used to be. No shame in that. He's 81 years of age. We're talking about our president, Joe Biden. But the bottom line is that 2-3 minutes in, he froze. 2-3 minutes in, you were wondering, the panic mode hit because you were wondering whether or not this was going to be Mitch McConnell all over again when he froze during a press conference.
But see, Stephen A., you have to understand, you've seen this many, many times. You've even spoken about it on your videos many, many times. This isn't something out of the ordinary. Joe's fastball left about 10 years ago. This guy is disintegrating before our eyes.
It was scary as hell. You know, I've been on the record and I've taken a lot of heat saying this, but the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes, they should. And I'm happy that somebody like Stephen A. Smith with his platform is calling them out.
It's a national disgrace that since 2016, you didn't have enough of a bullpen and you left folks to depend on Joe Biden. It's an absolute, utter disgrace that he was on that stage last night. Maybe he could sit behind a desk in the Oval Office and he's still sharp enough to make decisions.
No, he's not. In fact, Axios came out with an article, which I'm going to make another video on, where they basically said he can only function between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's just about it. He's a part-time president.
But clearly in a live format, with no delays and no insulation whatsoever, where you stand out there on your own, mano a mano, versus a Donald Trump who, if nothing else, was sharp. I'm not saying he was telling the truth. I'm not saying that he was substantive in everything that came out of his mouth and he was honest and factual and all of that stuff, because we know that is never the case with Donald Trump. The bottom line is he appeared to be pretty sharp, lucid, aware, quick on his feet, etc.
He beat the crap out of Dementia Joe.
And to be quite honest with you, regardless of how disrespectful he appeared at times, I thought he took it light on Trump. I'm sorry, on Biden. I thought he took it light on Biden. It was that damn bad. Now, if you're the Democratic Party, you're going to have some people out there saying it was just one night and it was just one debate.
Oh, they're out there saying that right now. They're saying, did you see him in North Carolina? He was completely lucid. He was good. He was screaming. He was animated. He had a teleprompter reading a speech written by a speechwriter. That wasn't his thoughts. It's easy. If you had a teleprompter in front of you, just read the damn message. Clap here, scream now. It's very easy. He can read directions. Hey, okay, so I'm gonna do this. Now scream now. Oh, see, yeah, he does that stuff too. But in any event, he can't do that in a debate. And people with some kind of brain cells understand the difference between a debate answering questions on the fly versus reading something off a teleprompter is very different. So yes, it was extremely embarrassing. Not just for Dementia Joe, for all of America.
What if Trump says I don't need to debate again?
That's what I think needs to happen. I'm glad he brought that up. At this point, is probably going to get a 5 or 6 point bounce in the polls. He's going to be up even further. We may see by September that he's up by 9 or 10 points. If he's up by double digits come September, cancel the other debate. There's no reason I need to dignify having a debate. I'm waxing your ass. You're done. Stephen A. Smith, who comes from the world of sports, understands you don't lower yourself to competition that you're spanking. There is no benefit in going and playing against a team that you know you're going to beat by 40 or 50 points. You don't keep your stars in. You pull your starters. You get those stars off the court, off the field, so they don't get hurt. You do not let them continue playing against a team that you are killing. So he understands that coming from the sports world, there is no benefit to having this second debate if Trump is kicking his butt by September, which I think he will be. I think come September, because nothing's going to change with immigration. We're likely to hear something, hopefully pretty good about the Supreme Court come Monday or Tuesday. By the time you're watching this video, you may have already heard that Trump was exonerated, or maybe he wasn't. But in any event, as they begin taking polls subsequent to the debate, he may see his lead increase in many of the states. The fact that the Democrats have now planted the thought in people's minds that, hey man, this guy's not someone we want to continue with. He's not someone we think can win. They made a huge mistake. They put him on stage, he disintegrated, and then they followed it up by saying we need to get him out. Then they're finding out now, oh shit, we're stuck with him. Meanwhile, you've planted the seed in people's heads that this guy's not capable of taking it, the distance. How do you think people are going to react as they hear people on their own team start saying, I don't know. The independents are gone. And now with Stephen A. Smith doing this, you can just consider the black vote toast.
And all we have to hold on to is what we witnessed last night. A brain fart within 3 minutes. Mumbling often enough where Donald Trump ended up saying, I don't understand what he said with that last sentence. I don't think he understands what he said.
That was hilarious.
Where the nation is looking at it, and you have pundits on both sides of the aisle looking sad and despondent. In Van Jones' case for CNN, he looked like he was about to cry.
A bunch of them look like that. They look like they had just gone to a funeral, which essentially they have.
Pundits were saying, where are the family members? How could you put your dad out there like that? How could you put your husband out there like that? If you're the Democratic Party, how could you put one of your colleagues and your contemporaries out there like that? What the hell is going on? What's going on?
You see what I'm telling you? At this point, desperation has set in. And now you've got somebody who's got a voice like Stephen A. Smith on his platform, arguably the top announcer on ESPN, basically has one of the biggest black audiences in the country, is now saying, oh hell no, you cannot tell me this is who I have to vote for. I'm telling you right now, what you're seeing, forget all the other stuff with the pundits and the political stuff on CNN and MSNBC and some of these guys. This guy is who the hood listens to. You may not realize that, but this guy, Stephen A. Smith, is going to influence so many people. He and people like Charlamagne the God are who the black community tunes into. Charlamagne the God, Steve Harvey, some of these people, this is who they listen to. Not MSNBC, not NBC, not CBS, none of the news networks. I doubt if most black people even listen to the news, but they listen to Stephen A. Smith. They know who Stephen A. Smith is from ESPN. He walks into basketball games like he's ready to play. This is going to be, in my estimation, the doom of Dementia Joe's campaign. I personally think it's over.
He's not what he used to be. Ain't Kamala Harris qualified?
No, she's not.
Westmore, governor of Maryland. What about him?
Maybe.
Gavin Newsom, you gonna still keep saying, you ain't running, you ain't running, you ain't running. Nobody's gonna go to Biden and say, we love you. We appreciate what you've done for this country. Your years of service. But please, it's time for you to step aside.
I'm gonna show you in a couple minutes why that can't happen.
We just gonna let him go out there like that.
Yep, you did.
We just gonna leave him out hanging like that. You know how desperate that makes you look as a Democratic Party?
It makes you look desperate, not just to the Democratic Party, not just to Democrats in general. It makes you look desperate to independents. Right now, there are independents who are basically going to sway this entire election. And right now, the independents have looked at this and went, oh, you gotta be kidding. I understand this guy's got 34 felony convictions for sleeping with porn stars and paying her off. He didn't do anything to the government. I understand that this guy's got a case in Miami and they're devaluing his properties and trying to do this and then do that. I understand all that, but he's a walking and talking advantage to a guy who can't put a sentence together. He's opened his arm to the black vote. Hey, come on guys. Remember the quote from 2020 that people didn't really know back then. What have you got to lose? Back then, people didn't realize it. Now, because of their rent, their grocery prices, the gas, the taxes, they know. Oh, and the newcomer. They know now what I have to lose. Dementia Joe is making them lose it. All Trump's got to do is remind them. I told you about this guy and the people running behind the show. I told you. Go ahead and run Michelle Obama. Trump could destroy her. Why? Because he can actually say the stuff that Dementia Joe is doing is because Barack's telling him to do it. So if Michelle got in, she's just gonna do the same shit that Barack's been doing with Joe. It would just be another extension. More newcomers heading towards a socialistic or communistic approach in America, tearing down what America is, transforming America. A lot of transforming going on under the Dementia Joe's presidency. A lot of transformation going on, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. Nothing would change if Michelle Obama got in. Actually, it'd be worse. So what are they gonna do? Everybody can see it. It's pure desperation. You guys are toast. I'm calling it right now. Absent, I don't know. Now, I don't think anything can happen. Maybe they're gonna throw Trump in jail on July 11th. But absent that, but then again, even though he got in jail, they'd still vote for him. I think you're toast.
I can say that. I don't care about people coming after me. I have voted Democrat 99% of the time in my life. The only Republican I ever voted for was Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey. That's it. Don't come to me telling me as an American citizen I don't have a right to look at what I saw last night and be incredibly concerned.
That's exactly what they want to do. That's exactly what they've done to me. That's exactly what they've done to him. That's what exactly they have done to other black people who go, this ain't right. Oh, you're Uncle Tom. Okay, call me Tom. I don't care. At least I'm not a stupid Tom. I have been called every name in the book. What's he do for you? That's just it. I'm not looking for a president to do something for me. I'm looking for a president to stop making life tough. Clear the lane. Make sure my opportunities are something I can basically capitalize on. I don't need him to do something for me. I'll go out and make it. God forbid, we could be able to talk about what we want to talk about on this platform and not have to worry about if people are going to be able to see the videos. Are we going to be shadow banned? Are we going to, be discombobulated here? And I'm being nice. I just want you to get out the way. I don't want government trying to censor people. I don't want government trying to invade the country with newcomers in the millions. I don't want that. I don't need the government cheese. I just need to move out the way. Just stop trying to run my life. Stop trying to take the entire month of June and ram something down my throat I have no interest in. If somebody else does, that's fine. Let them live their life. But at the same token, let me live my life. Let people live the life they want to live as long as they're not impugning upon anybody else. But no, that's not what you're supposed to do, especially as a black man. And I've had enough. And it's sounding like Stephen A. Smith has had enough.
I understand this isn't the first romp we've seen in the debate. Barack Obama got destroyed in his first debate versus Mitt Romney. And he came back like a winner thereafter. But in the very first debate against Mitt Romney, it should have been a mercy rule inserted.
That's true. You can go back and look at the data. In fact, I've got some data for you to take a look at right here and regarding to what the first debate actually means to an election. He just mentioned to you what happened when Obama and Romney first debated and how Romney destroyed him. But Obama, basically younger, able to step back, he responded. Check out this data in terms of how first debates are relative to how things end up going in an election.
The title of this, I have this title page every single time. This time it's Trump's first debate victory. And that has two meanings. The first is that, last night was the first debate of this cycle. But the second is it's actually his first general debate victory in the minds of the voters ever. 2016, Hillary Clinton won all the debates. Last time around, Joe Biden won all the debates. Here's the first debate winner margins dating back to 2012. Look here. Mitt Romney won by 42 points. Hillary Clinton just won by 13. Joe Biden last time around won by 32. Look at this. This year is the exact inverse of where we were 4 years ago. Donald Trump won this debate by 34 points by a 67 to 33% margin. So the fact of the matter is Donald Trump's performance last night was the best performance he ever put forth in the American voters' minds on a debate stage, or it could be argued that Joe Biden's debate performance was so bad that he managed to make Donald Trump actually look good.
With that 34-point lead, does this mean, can we just go ahead and assume that this is going to give him a bump when it comes to what voters will do?
History isn't always precedent, but in this particular case, poll bump after winning the first debate, look at this. Joe Biden last time around got a poll bump. Hillary Clinton got a poll bump in 2016. Mitt Romney, after winning the first debate, got a poll bump in 2012. And in 2008, Barack Obama got a poll bump. And if you look on average across those 4 different first debates, guess what? The person who won the debate gained 4 points on average. And of course, at this particular point, what we were dealing with going into this particular debate, if you looked at that CNN polls yesterday, Donald Trump was already ahead by 2 points. So if you apply that, you could end up, if history holds, on average, you could be looking at a mid-single-digit lead for Donald Trump. And you know what? Again, we're talking about unprecedented debate performances for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, outside of the convention after the RNC in 2016, has never held such a large lead as this could potentially end up being if history holds.
Now let's get back and finish up with Stephen A.
It was that bad. But he's young enough, vibrant enough, intellectually heightened, obviously quick of foot, knowing, substantive, combative, etc., etc. He didn't have Father Time operating against him. There is no shame for Joe Biden. If you're listening, Mr. President, there's no shame in stepping away because you acknowledge you just don't have it anymore.
You ain't got it.
Not on that kind of platform, but that's just me. Joe Biden, as far as I'm concerned, needs to step away.
I'm going to tell you why in a second, but he can't. That's what so many of these pundits don't understand. There is no other option. It's Joe or nobody. Seriously, that's it.
Kamala Harris needs to be inserted immediately as the candidate to go up against Trump or get somebody else up in there.
Ain't gonna happen.
Get somebody else up in there.
Sorry, Stephen.
Because what we saw last night, Trump will be the next president of the United States of America come January 2025. Biden will not beat him. Not the Biden we saw on national television during the presidential debate last night. It will not happen.
If Stephen A. Smith is demanding that Dementia Joe be removed, the Dems are screwed. But unfortunately for Stephen A. Smith and the other libnuts, Dementia Joe isn't going anywhere. They're stuck with him. As I said in one of my podcasts, I believe yesterday, here's why. Charlie Kirk put out this tweet after he spoke to a couple lawyers who outlined the process for removing a current candidate from the ballot. Unfortunately, it's June, late June, and there aren't many options. Let me read this tweet to you. This is big. It's likely already too late to remove Joe Biden from the ballot. As for Wisconsin, a huge swing state, it's already too late to remove Joe Biden from the ballot. Can't happen. If the law is written, you cannot remove him. If you were to remove him, that state would have no Democrat on the ballot. It would be over. In Nevada, after tonight, yesterday, which was the 4th Friday in June, it will be too late to remove Joe Biden. So that's Wisconsin and Nevada off the board. You wouldn't be able to put Dementia Joe in and be competitive in Nevada or Wisconsin. You automatically lose those 2 states. Number 3, Georgia. There's only a few weeks remaining before it will be too late to remove Biden from the ballot there. There's no options here. The Heritage Oversight Project has set their sights on 3 contentious swing states where they believe taking Biden off the Democratic ticket would not allow anyone else to replace him in Georgia, Nevada, and Wisconsin. Here's where it gets tricky. For Joe, that is. Wisconsin does not allow withdrawal from the ballot for any reason besides death. In Nevada, no changes can be made to the ballot after 5 p.m. on the 4th Friday in June, yesterday, of an election year or a nominee or is adjudicated insane or mentally incompetent. If Biden were to withdraw less than 60 days before the election in Georgia, his name will remain on the ballot, but none of the votes will be counted. So you will lose Georgia, Nevada, and Wisconsin. In Texas, the 2 parties' nominees have until the 74th day before the election to withdraw from the ballot. Some states like South Carolina do not allow candidates to withdraw for political reasons, which means the only real way that they can get rid of Dementia Joe is for him to die. But even then, it's too late. in Wisconsin and basically Nevada. It's too late. Can't do it. It's already passed. He's on the ballot, and they can't afford to lose Wisconsin. So after the debate, we saw all the media run out and start talking about replacing Joe Biden, but they didn't know the law. And now they all look stupid, as many people have been researching the law and the process, and they're screwed. They're stuck with Dementia Joe. And even if they tried the 25th Amendment, there's no time. There's no time for them to even remove him by the 25th Amendment. Forget about it. It can't happen. You can try and do something at the convention. It doesn't matter. You can't get on the ballot in Wisconsin and Nevada. And very soon, you won't be able to get on the ballot in Georgia. It's over. That's it. You chose to work with Dementia Joe. Enjoy it, because that's your horse right now. And if that wasn't bad enough, the news reports that came out yesterday said that Obama went to meet with Dementia Joe and Jill to try and get him to basically drop out, even though the dates have already passed. But that ain't gonna work either, because Democrats are coming to full terms with the fact that Jill Biden is now running her husband's campaign. Obama met with the president in an effort to get him to step down, and he was sidelined by Dr. Biden, who told him, quote, her husband would never surrender. Jill Biden made it clear to Obama that Joe would not be stepping down. Obama met with Biden yesterday to convince him to drop out of the presidential race, which wouldn't really matter at this point. Before he left, Jill Biden confronted the former president and made it clear her husband would be the nominee from hell or high water. So basically, there's no place to go. And now people are starting to realize, between Jill not allowing him to basically withdraw and with these dates being passed, you are completely stuck with him. This was the front cover of the New York Post today. Check this out. And it says, it's got a picture of Joe, and it says, over my dead body. Come on, Joe. Be careful what you wish for. You know, Hillary's in the wings, so I wouldn't say much about over my dead body, because I just wouldn't say that around her. So as of today, just so you know, so that the news can't sway you, the only way that they are going to be able to remove Joe Biden and possibly win is if Joe dies. But that's unlikely, because they've already missed the deadline in a couple states, which may be a good thing for Dementia Joe's personal health.